Well, good. Well, glad everybody made it, and good to see everybody this week. I'm uh, for those keeping track at home. I've been wearing summer clothes, but we got this cold snap here in Northern California, so it's
Wow.
lows of like 45 and highs of 60. And here we are supposed to be, the summer equinox tomorrow. So
Yep.
who knows? Who knows? We'll take all the precipitation in fire country. We will take all the precipitation
Yep.
we can get.
Yep.
So hopefully that keeps things at bay a little bit longer. But
Where are you, Nathan?
I'm in Wairika, California, which is about 35 minutes south of Ashland, Oregon. So where the Shakespeare Festival is.
Oh.
Yeah, so we're up in what do they call this? The state of Jefferson. At one point, there was talk of seceding Southern Oregon and Northern California into their own little enclave, because it really is. People say Northern California, but they're like, they mean the Bay Area. No, this is really Northern California. This
Yeah,
is,
I was going to say, I assumed you're in the Bay Area, but you're way up there.
Yeah.
Are you near, Nathan? Are you near the redwoods?
As the crow flies, we're probably only about 2.5 hours from the coast, but it's a very circuitous long drive to actually get over there. So so yeah.
Okay.
But we're in Shasta Valley. We can see Mount Shasta where we are.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So,
And Randall and Annie, where are you guys?
We're in Jersey.
Jersey. We're in Jersey.
Jersey. And Tom is in Jersey.
Yes, I am.
and Lizzie is in Kansas City, correct?
Yeah, and it's 90 degrees. So.
Oh my God.
Wow. Kansas City. Lizzie, I thought you were on the West Coast.
No, I live in New York, but my apartment is my most valuable asset. So I rented it to a guy who's in Here Lies Love this summer.
Oh, I have a lot of friends in that.
Well, he's the nicest person in the world, Moses Villarama.
Oh, I know Moses. I just said congratulations to him on one of his posts. Have a great Broadway debut. It's his Broadway.
Yeah, he is. So I'm just hanging in Kansas City for the summer.
Okay.
Is that where you were born?
Yeah.
A Midwestern girl.
That's right. Corn-fed.
And do you do anything with the university there?
I do voice coaching at the NPR affiliate at KCR, which is really rewarding. They are a great group of people. I do media training, like corporate media training and stuff, but I would like to, they've actually just canceled the MFA program at UMKC.
Wow.
So it's only BA, but I would love to work with them.
We had a friend who worked there, Ted Sweat's his name.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know him?
Yeah, he is my friend Abigail. Well, I did theater with his daughter
Abigail.
Abigail in school. And weirdly, when you guys were telling us about the Karnofsky book, and I looked it up on Amazon, Ted Sweat's was the one review.
I can imagine.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he came with us to meet the Karnoffs. When we had our theater, we got to a point where I was doing most of the directing, and we felt we needed to be inspired by someone. And so Ted said, why don't you ask Morris to come out? And we thought, are you crazy? He's not going to come out. He said, well, I studied with him. Let's go have dinner. Let's see if he'll have dinner with us. And so he came with us to their home in Connecticut. And sure enough, we asked him, and he said, well, Harold Clurman is on my shoulder saying, do it, Morris, do it. So they came and joined us. It was quite
wonderful. What a wonderful story.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'm hoping Morris and Phoebe were on both of your shoulders, Randall and Annie, when I emailed you saying, hey, I got this little podcast. Would you talk about your career?
They were.
They're the reason that we actually keep, whenever we feel like it's time to throw in the towel because we're just dinosaurs and nobody's, really doing things the way we like to do them. every so often I have Phoebe in my ear saying, no, you have to keep doing something. You have to. And they did it until their 90s.
Wow, that's great.
He was 93.
Yeah.
She was 96. And I was with her the day before she died.
Oh,
And
wow.
she was teaching Hamlet. She had students come to her bed in the hospital.
Oh my God.
And I said to her, she said, Anna, good enough. I beat my mother by 10 years. She was 86. I beat Mari by 3 years, and I even beat Katharine Hepburn. So good enough. And I said, but Phoebe, you have so much more to give. And she said, well, you're right there. I am remarkable. So I was telling myself that. Quite wonderful. Yeah.
Well.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. Nice way to start, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, it's great listening to all this. I will let you guys get to King Lear. Have a wonderful day. I'll probably be listening for some part of it. And have a great time.
See you later.
Thank you.
So what I thought we would do today is I went back to the beginning of the play to see if we could trace each character from the beginning to see what changes have occurred leading up to this scene. And I thought if we could do that and have you guys read the character in the previous scenes, it might influence those choices further that we're making in the scene that we're doing. And I think it becomes pretty interesting. It definitely seems to fall into place. But you have to take a very close look at what everybody is saying. That's why I thought it was important to do that today. We'd never looked at the scene with Goneril and Lear, where he finds out that she already cut 50 knights out of his train. We've never done the Regan arrival to Gloucester's. And so I'd like to start right at the top with the girls professing their love and then look at each one of those scenes that you're in, if that makes sense. Yeah?
Sure.
Okay.
Great idea.
The one thing that I will mention from the first scene with Gloucester and Kent is, because you want to put all these facts together of who knows what at any given time, the land has already been divided. So because that conversation in the very first scene of the play, Kent says, I thought the king liked Albany better than Cornwall. And Gloucester said, I thought so too, but the way he's divided the land, there's absolutely no difference between Albany's portion and Cornwall's portion. What's not mentioned is Cordelia's portion. So we can either assume that she gets the best or that all three are exactly equal. But the fact that they don't mention hers makes me think that the plan is indeed for her to give him the best reason, the best expression of her love, and therefore she'll get the best. But it's all done.
Annie, have the lands been identified as who gets what?
Specifically,
or is that decided during the game?
Well, all we know is that Cornwall and Albany, whatever land they get, it's exactly the same. There's not an inch of land that's different. There's not a tree on one that's not on the other.
But we don't know who gets what.
I don't know what you're saying, Randy. You mean what
who gets what part? The parcels may be equal, but they have to be, what daughter gets what parcel? Is that known?
Well, it is, because one's married to Albany and the other's married to Cornwall.
Oh, no, but specifically what parcel goes to who?
No,
I think he's asking like what region, what region of it.
No, there's no mention. There's no mention of that at all. I know you have information about where Albany is and right?
Well, but this play supposedly traces back where the Elizabethans knew that Northern England was associated with Albany, and that Cornwall was associated with the West, Britain West. So it's like Lear determines he's going to send his eldest daughter north and give the western part of England to Regan, right? And so this play is supposedly how that originated.
Oh,
Yeah, this is where it occurred.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I think who the hell knows?
But if it wasn't pre-decided, that's an interesting moment because, because
That's
it
right.
comes so fast when you say to me, "Well, you're the eldest, Goneril. You go first. How much do you love me?" And I have to go, this,
Right.
and then you say, "Okay, that maybe is good enough for parcel 2."
Yes.
This one right here. It makes an interesting moment if he doesn't, Yeah.
Right.
Oh, he doesn't, and you folks don't know. I mean, the girls don't
we
know that he's done this.
Yeah.
They think it's being done on the spot. We just know that the gossip between Gloucester and Kent is in reference to that parcel, that entire kingdom being divided already. But even they don't know why. I mean, that's why when Lear in this scene, we'll take a peek at it right now, look at what he says in the first few lines about his darker purpose, which means mysterious, which means, it means serious, also has several meanings to the word darker. But I think the idea of it being mysterious is here, I'm finally going to, reveal what this is all about. And that's what he does here. So let's read it, and then because I know conversation will go all over the place. There's so much that's written, of course, about this play, but everybody has a different idea. Some people think Lear is already mad when the play opens. Some believe that he is being a hypocrite. Others, it's the conclusions are just, they're vast. But all I want us to do is to take a look at what your character says. I think I mentioned this before. There's no subtext in Shakespeare. If you say it in the moment, you mean it. It's like Richard III. He professes love to Lady Anne, and later on he has a speech that says, "Was ever woman in this?" Because there's just there's nothing that gives subtext. Modern theater's filled with subtext. So what's nice about that is you can depend on what you're saying in this to be the truth in the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Randy, you want to start it?
Where are we doing all the bit with Kent and
No,
Edmund?
no, just with the girl, with Lear announcing. Let me get you the exact line.
42, 41.
Yeah.
In three our kingdom from there.
Attend the lords in France. Randy, go to Gloucester. It says enter King Lear,
I see.
Cornwall, Albany, Goneril, Regan, Cordelia, and attendants.
Got
we
it.
there?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Attend the lords of France and Burgundy, Gloucester.
I shall,
my lord.
Good.
Meantime, we shall express a darker purpose. Give me the map there. Know that we have divided in 3 our kingdom, and 'tis our fast intent to shake all cares and business from our age, conferring them on younger strengths, while we, unburdened, crawl toward death. Our son of Cornwall and you, our no less loving son of Albany, we have this hour a constant will to publish our daughters several dowers, that future strife may be prevented now. The princes France and Burgundy, great rivals in our youngest daughter's love, long in our court have made their amorous sojourn, and here are to be answered. Now tell me, my daughters, since now we will divest us both of rule, interest of territory, cares of state, which of you shall we say doth love us most, that we our largest bounty may extend, where nature doth with merit challenge? Goneril, our eldest born, speak first.
Sir, I love you more than word can wield the matter. dearer than eyesight, space, and liberty, beyond what can be valued, rich and rare, no less than life, with grace, health, beauty, honor, as much as child e'er loved or father found, a love that makes breath poor and speech unable, beyond all manner of so much I love you.
Shall Cordelia speak? Love and be silent.
Of all these bounds, even from this line to this, with shadowy forests, and with champaigns rich with plenteous rivers and wide-skirted meads, we make thee lady. To thine and Albany's issue be this perpetual. Now what says our second daughter, our dearest Regan, wife of Cornwall?
I am made of that self-metal as my sister.
Yeah.
Prize me at her worth. In my true heart, I find she names my very deed of love. Only she comes too short.
Oh?
I profess myself an enemy to all other joys, which the most precious square of sense professes, and find I am alone felicitate in your dear highness' love.
And poor Cordelia. And yet not so, since I am sure my love's more ponderous than my tongue.
To thee and thine hereditary ever remain this ample third of our fair kingdom, no less in space, validity, and pleasure than that conferred on Goneril. Oh, now our joy, although our last and least, to whose young love the vines of France and milk of Burgundy strive to be interest. What can you say to draw a third more opulent than your sisters?
Okay, and let's stop there.
You know, with all the notes you've given us, Annie, that would just felt so alive moment to me. I was like, you know, listening so intently. Is that line going to be better than my line? It was great.
My only acting is just watching Randy and Jeannie be good. And I'm just,
Oh!
No, I don't know. You're pretty good. You're pretty good.
Hey.
But like we were talking about like getting older, and just like I was like sometimes just watching and listening is enough look on your face, you know, like, oh my God, I am impressed in this moment. I am overwhelmed. I am, you know, it is enough. It is enough.
Yeah, and I think that the thing that starts to become clear to me with where you're going with this is the competition. That it's not so much the lying to the father, it's the competition between the sisters.
Yeah.
And that's when we get to our scene later on, they join in league, even though when that's done, they're going to separate, you know, against each other. He also says, if we look at his speech, to prevent future strife, he knows that there's something, you know, if he's not clear about the division, and the reason he's giving you the exact amount or worth of the kingdom is because he's fearful of the argument that may erupt between you two. He doesn't think about that with Cordelia. Why? It's not spelled out, but I do think that we have to take a look at the fact that one of her suitors is the King of France. So there's a certain protection that she's going to have by being married to, you know, the monarch of another kingdom. But again, all that, I always find Shakespeare gives us just enough, and then he keeps us guessing. And I think it's why he's lasted over 400 years. I think what happens is we all jump in and say, oh, I know, this is it. This is what it is. But we don't know. And it's just and that means the audience gets to play the game with us. They now can go and, you know, after the show is over, say, no, I don't think that was it. I think, and so it's alive. It's kept alive beyond, you know, the applause at the end of the show. That's what I find thrilling about a Shakespearean play is when you see that audience involved. Something, they sit forward because they're involved in what choices are being made. So I'm a little cautious about making all the choices for them. Otherwise, that's why they'll say, what are we sitting here for 3 hours, you know, if I get it. So, all right. So if there's any information there, of course, we see how they are playing the game. Goneril, what you put forth in terms of the kind of love, and this is what I love about your character and what you're doing too, Jeannie, is, man, there is not a definition of love. One feels Regan doesn't have a chance until Regan comes in with her one argument, and her one argument is, nothing makes me happier but loving you.
Yes.
Wow, she did it.
It's like an arrow.
Yeah.
And I went all over the place and all these flowery things,
Right.
and she just went.
Everything. You offered him everything,
Right.
you know, makes breath poor. I'm unable to speak how much I love you, and more than any child, more than ever father. And then she comes in with one little twist, and it's like, oh, but again, it points out the sisters, somewhat of a rivalry in competing. And then, of course, we get to Cordelia, who doesn't want to play at all. And I think Cordelia also admires, because she says, then poor Cordelia, and not so, since I'm sure my love's more ponderous than my tongue. She's counting on saying nothing because she thinks he'll understand that as her statement of love. And of course, as we know, all hell breaks loose, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
But you girls witness all of that. Kent, who is the most loyal member of the court for Lear, is banished. You both will admit, and we're coming up on that scene, of the love he has for Cordelia is more than the love he has for you. He always loved my sister most. So his behavior is questionable. It is erratic. He's making choices that one could never believe that he would ever make. And that makes him it makes certainly Goneril feel that he's a danger. The other thing I just want to point out for future reference, in case any of you get to direct the play or teach it, how important props are. And that map to me is essential. Because it keeps bringing home the idea that we're talking about a kingdom.
Yes.
It's not petty, it's not small, it's not a stock in a business firm. It's much larger than that, because it has to do with power, and power over the lives of people. And no one in this play ever only Lear does at one point in the storm. Nobody talks about the people in Britain and how best to govern them. Governance is not mentioned at all. So I think that that map, it's talked. If I were directing a real production of it, I would have Kent and Gloucester be looking at the map. So when Kent says, I thought he was, he liked Albany better, and then Gloucester would say no, but in the division, it's exactly the same. The map is there. Kingdom, 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 alarm, alarm. Then Lear comes in, he says, give me the map again. And so again, to those he doesn't use a lot of props, but when he does, the plays they're fraught with letters. Take a look at those comedies. Everybody, I know so many prop people who had to have a pink letter, a blue letter, green letter, so everybody could keep their letters straight in these different productions. But they are rare props. And so when you see them, I think it's important to pay attention to them and see how, using your imagination, you might make that clear to an audience. Stanislavski tells a wonderful story about the use of props. And he says that he was in a scene where he's going to see this woman that he loves. He has a cane in his hand. And when he knows he's going to see her, the cane dances at his side, feeling his happiness. And when he gets to her window, he sees the shadow of another man, and the cane stops and draws back. And then the cane looks forward, and then the cane droops to his side. And so the prop becomes an acting partner. It's not just something that you carry because it's on the prop table. And I think that's the same thing with Shakespeare. If it's there, embrace it as a partner in a scene, and not, again, just something that, oh, there's a map in this scene, and look at how many times have you seen Midsummer Night's Dream and people are carrying lanterns and they never light anything. They just kind of have a lantern randomly swinging. At any rate, there's a purpose for it. And the map, for me, seems to be one of the things that I would call attention to, because I think kingdom gets lost sometimes.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You know? So let's look at the scene where he's banished Kent, he's banished Cordelia. France has taken Cordelia and actually criticizes Lear by saying to him, something's wrong here. This girl that you told us was the best, the most loved of you, and for saying one thing, you're throwing her out. I'll take her. He takes her without a dowry. Okay. And you are witness to all of that. The other major event that happens, and here's another prop that's essential, and I've read so many feelings about what to do with it. It's a coronet. He says to Cornwall, after he banishes Cordelia, he says to Cornwall and Albany, this coronet part between you, which makes me think each one of you gets a coronet when you get your kingdom. And the third one left over was for Cordelia. She's not getting it. So here, Albany and Cornwall, you take it and divide it. So the division he was trying to prevent in the beginning by doing this game, now he's killed it by saying, here, you guys divide what's left.
Divide
he doesn't divide it for them, huh?
Divide the third part.
That's right. But he doesn't divide it. He makes them left to divide it.
So not a great idea.
No, he created the strife he tried to prevent. And I think, again, if we were actually on our feet directing it, I would have him hold that coronet out and have each man put their hands on one side of it. So we would physically see, we're in trouble. Coronets don't break down the middle. Who's going to get it? And so you're planting seeds for the strife that's coming up ahead. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It reminds me of watching the coronation and all the crap, like the stuff that has to be like, now you touch this and you hold this here and you put this on your back, and yeah, the coronet, if you had someone, it's like trying to break a bone.
Yes.
But divide this between you is ironic.
Yes.
You can't.
Right. That's right. And that's the fight that's about to happen. It's not a general, I don't like him, I just hate his guts. It's the kingdom is at stake. Who gets the most power? Power means everything. And so he's left it in a situation where they're going to now have to fight over that third. And if it happens to be better than the first two, oh my God, where are we? What kind of battle is going to take place? And again, it's just it's planting seeds. I like with Shakespearean plays to look for the seeds, because a lot of times we cut them out because we're not seeing the fruition, or the fruit, if you will, of the seed in the first scene. But it's a seed. You plant it, and the second act waters it. And all of a sudden, in the third act, we hear about these people killing each other. But it doesn't come out of, I have to manufacture why they're doing it because they're just hateful people. It's all tied into power, power in the hands of the wrong people, greed. As I said, I've made a vow to avoid any kind of political association, but I would say to everybody, take a look at what we're going through right now. And you can't simply say, these are villainous people and that's it. You have to ask why. What is it that brings people to that? Lear will ask that question, by the way. Is there something in nature that makes us evil? He'll say that, I'm paraphrasing it, when he's out in the storm. So this play is filled with that seed that's planted. And whose fault is it? Lear's. Again, not because he's a villain, but he's made a mistake that now is going to cost not him only, but him and the entire kingdom, and of course the lives of all of his daughters. So, okay, so I'm a talker. Sorry.
All good stuff.
Okay. So they leave. Cordelia and Thomas. Let's take a look at just her parting, so that we can lead into Goneril and Regan in that scene where they're going. Where Goneril, you can try to light a fire under her, and let her know. It's right at the end of the scene we were just looking at.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to find it again. My screen.
Okay. Tell me where
From
you
bid farewell to your sisters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
95, 94, 93, 292, Jeannie.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Bid farewell to your sisters.
The jewels of our father, washed eyes, Cordelia leaves you. I know you what you are. Like a sister, am most loath to call your faults as they are named. Love well our father. To your professed bosoms I commit him. Yet alas, stood I within his grace, I would prefer him to a better place. So farewell to you both.
Prescribe not us our duty.
Let your study be to content your lord, who hath received you at fortune's alms. You have obedience scanted, and well are worth the want that you have wanted.
Time shall unfold what plighted cunning hides, who covers faults at last with shame derides. Well may you prosper.
Come, my fair Cordelia.
Sister, it is not little I have to say of what most nearly appertains to us both. I think our father will hence tonight.
That's most certain, and with you, next month with us.
You see how full of changes his age is. The observation we have made of it hath not been little. He always loved our sister most, and with what poor judgment he hath now cast her off appears too grossly.
The infirmity of his age, yet he hath ever but slenderly known himself.
Best and soundest of his time hath been but rash. Then must we look from his age to receive not alone the imperfections of long ingraft condition, but therewithal the unruly waywardness that infirm and choleric years bring with them.
Such unconstant starts are we like to have from him, as this of Kent's banishment.
As for the compliment of leave taking between France and him, pray you let us sit together. If our father carry authority with such disposition as he bears, this last surrender of his will but offend us.
We shall think further of it.
We must do something, and in the heat.
Good. Nice girl. Oh God, did I tell you how much I love you? Yeah, yeah. It's wonderful. It's conspiratorial. It's totally different from what you told him. And it's not mean. It's more concerned about what will
His
happen
behavior,
after.
what just happened?
Yes, yes. And it's very nice. And it was prose. The way you delivered it was prose, and that's important. You can start to see the feel that's different when people are speaking prose. There's none of that formality of sister, I wish you to, it doesn't have that. It's really trying to get this done. The one thing that I would say, and Thomas, I know you're not playing Cordelia, although very nice. What I would suggest is when Goneril says, you have obedience scanted and well are worth the want that you have wanted, I would cut loose. I would, this is your last moment to put forth what it is you want to say. So the hesitation that you had given us in the jewels of our father, and you're keeping your emotions under wrap. You're of course she's crying, but the way you kept it under wraps was beautiful. Here, I would say, time shall unfold what plighted cunning hides. Who covers faults at last with shame derides. Well may you prosper. Come, my dear Cordelia, because he knows if she stays, it's going to escalate into something else. So it forces him to take her out.
Okay.
And I would say at the very end, we shall think further of it, Jeannie, to just entertain the idea of shaking her up a little bit more about it, because that in the heat it's almost a feeling of what's the word I'm looking for? Like an excitement that doesn't even let you finish the words.
Urgency.
You see what I'm saying?
Well,
Yeah.
and it's also connected to the fact that his knights and him are going to be with you tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're saddled with hastily preparing, I don't know,
Yes.
accommodations for them, everything. So, so
And
whatever
Hank
you and
is
Regan
just-
plan, it's got to be in the heat, because
Yeah.
I'm in the thick of it right now.
Yes. Okay.
And again, it's think is opposite to do. That's why I think you get the long spelling. We shall further think of it. Regan saying, yeah, I'll give it some thought. No, quit thinking, do.
No,
That, I think it's so important, Lizzie, about Regan is, as we said this earlier, she is in no rush. She is going to enjoy her month.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why Goneril needs to, because she knows you're taking off. You'll each go to your respective castles, and that's all she's going to see. She has an opportunity right now to light a fire under you. If it doesn't happen here, it's going to have to be done through letters. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Not
Nice.
to get to see each other in person as often. Yeah,
Right.
communication.
That's right.
Slow down.
There's a little thing, and I don't know if it'll mean anything to anybody, but one of the things I noticed in going through the play is they never address each other by their first name. It's always sister. So it's never Regan, I want to talk to you, or Goneril. It's and even with later on with Oswald, you say, I know my sister loves you, or it's always sister. There's never a personal who they are by their actual names. It's their station. You know, again, it's not a big deal that you can really do much, but I'm just wondering if it doesn't just keep reiterating that this relationship is not a loving sister relationship that, you know, even now when I talk to my sister, I use her first name. Angelica, what do you know, I don't say sister. Why are you?
Or like Rosalind and Celia saying sweet and sweetheart to each other.
Yes. So it does count for something, but again, I think mostly you just let it percolate. There's many books have been written on creativity, and the whole idea of incubation, the idea of this, you get an idea, you do the research, and then you put all of that in you and you let it incubate. And that's what this is. Just think about it, and and let it take its shape later down. Okay, so now, Goneril, let's move to your scene where he's with you.
First Goneril scene with Oswald.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. But he is with her. And it's scene 3.
Did my father strike my gentleman?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did my father strike my gentleman for chiding of his fool?
Aye, madam.
By day and night he wrongs me. Every hour he flashes into one gross crime or other that sets us all at odds. I'll not endure it. His nights grow riotous, and himself upbraids us on every trifle. When he returns from hunting, I will not speak with him. Say I am sick. If you come slack of former services, you shall do well. The fault of it I'll answer.
He's coming, madam. I'll hear him.
Put on what weary negligence you please, you and your fellows. I'll have it come to question. If he distaste it, let him to my sister, whose mind and mine I know in that are one, not to be overruled. Idle old man that still would manage those authorities that he hath given away. Now, by my life, old fools are babes again and must be used with checks as flatteries when they are seen abused. Remember what I have said.
Well, madam.
and let his knights have colder looks among you. What goes of it, no matter. Advise your fellows so. I would read from hence occasions, and I shall, that I may speak. I'll write straight to my sister to hold my very course. Prepare for dinner.
Yeah. Okay, so what you guys heard there was the quarto. The folio has cut out everything past the way the line is in the folio. If he distasted, let him to my sister, who's mine and mine, I know in that are one. Remember what I said.
Oh,
yes.
oh, okay, sorry.
But that is, here's some of there's different thoughts on it, but one of the thoughts is that the texts that make up the folio were the acting texts. And so through the course of playing, they found certain speeches that were either philosophical or reiterated something twice that wasn't, and they cut to the action. Hamlet has 200 lines less in the folio than it does in the quarto. And this would be similar, where you have more lines in the quarto than in the folio.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I could try and switch to the first folio. I thought this was.
But that's okay. I mean, again, I'm glad you did it, because I do want people to know. I go back to the quarto if I have a question, if some line doesn't sound like it's making complete sense, to just see if there's some further information there. So I think you have character information. It's an extension of her feelings in those lines. What the folio does is cut it down to action, which I think is wonderful. We must do something, and in the heat, she's not going to talk much about it. You can have your fellow knights, be rude to him, do whatever, and I'll back you. I mean, so I think the shortened version of it in the folio helps get it done.
Yes. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Right.
Okay. If we read it again, I'll just cut out those lines.
Yeah.
But then the director said, well, could we give more to Jeannie?
Listen, when Randy did Hamlet,
I wish.
When Randy did Hamlet at the Guthrie, the director cut everybody. He was cutting everybody down, and he said to Randy, you have to back me on this. You really do. But by time we got to do the play, Hamlet was a blabbermouth. It was like, oh my God, nobody talks to me, because he just cut and cut and cut. And so in the end, Randy's a wonderful actor, but it didn't help at all. It just made Randy long-winded. So
Didn't help.
at any rate. So the things to keep in mind, I think that here's the next step for Goneril. She already comes into this scene with having to do something and an understanding or an expectation that there's going to be trouble, and she's putting it all on his behavior with Kent and France and rejection of Cordelia. So she goes into the scene with a sense of waiting to see what's going to go wrong. And the first thing that comes up, of course, is that Lear struck her gentleman because the gentleman scolded. That's the big thing.
Yes, he did her.
Yeah. And then she turns, look what she turns it into. Every day and night, he does me wrong. Every hour, he flashes into one gross crime or other. We don't see it. So as an audience, we don't know. Now, we either believe you or we don't, or we look up ahead. But it seems to me any little thing he does, you're going to take as a sign of, the very thing you were worried about when you were talking to Regan. And this is filled with it. I want to point out just, again, one little punctuation thing. I don't know if you have it in there. He flashes into one gross crime or other that sets us all at odds, : I'll not endure it, semicolon, which gives you the opportunity to become a little more introspective. That semicolon tends to shift down his Knight's Crow, and you did it somewhat, but I think if you're aware of it, you'll even add more to it. But it's the sense, she doesn't have to share it with Oswald. He's not going to be able to. You've made your decision, but it's almost talking to yourself, his Knight's Crow riotous, and himself upbraids us, the sense of, this man, you know what I'm saying, right?
Oh, that's good. Okay, yes.
And then you come out of that with him You know what? Here's my
When he
solution.
returns.
That's
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Yes, good, good.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Mhm.
That gives it some variety.
What's interesting, what's left out with both of these women is what's left out is as important as what's put in. And what's left out here is she says, I will not speak with him. So the whole idea here is to just get Oswald to be rude and the rest of your servants to be rude to him. And I want it to erupt into a fight. Good. So you're looking for a fight. Talk about an action. You're
Yeah,
looking for a fight with him. You want it to come to a head. You know, he's only been there 2 weeks. So all of this activity that you're talking about, he has 2 weeks, and the reason that'll come out later in the scene, he'll say within 2 weeks, you know, this has happened. But okay, so here we go. And then you add to, that's the part I love too, Jeannie, who I'll write to my sister, let him to my sister whose mind and mine I know in that are one. Remember what I've said, well, madam, and you think it's over, and you add to it. You know what? Even have his knights.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like you said, they think that's the end of the thought. And
Yeah.
and something else.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So good.
Wow.
So that's her next step. Now we've seen her progress from the loving daughter who loves more than any child ever loved to the sister who's trying to rev up the other sister, urge the other sister on to this, to now looking for the fault in Lear that she can bring it to a head. And now we're heading into that scene where just that very thing will happen. In the meantime, just again to fill in the play, there's Kent has disguised himself, and the way he's disguised himself is to shave off his facial hair and to put on rough clothing.
He uses the word, I'll raise my likeness.
Right.
I've raised my likeness. And we use the word raise when you raise a city, you level it to the ground.
Right.
You know, so what he's done is take off all his hair, I think, you know, to make himself not the noble looking nobleman that he was.
Mm.
And again, one of the things that will happen in the play is that those people who keep putting on the clothing and the beautiful, you know, adornments are the ones who become less themselves and more ultimately evil, more the nasty thing that they become, is an understatement. But those who strip away, Kent strips away, Lear will be stripped away. Edgar, the disguise is the stripping away, not the putting on. And so they get closer and closer to their core, who they really are. And Kent will obviously be the most loyal servant that anyone could ever have. Edgar will be the truest son that anyone would know. Cordelia will be, and she's not going to be physically stripped of clothing, but she's been stripped of his love, certainly. And Lear, all kingly clothing taken away. I think that again, if you're doing a production, you can see I'm heading towards the desire to do one, but you can start to see visually how stunning this thing could be, because it's written right into the script, and you can start to see how the powerful keep growing and growing. We talked about Goneril's vanity, and that would be, you know, so you're such a beautiful woman anyway, so you keep, now we have your Goneril adorn even more, and now every bit of you, again, with clothing, with whatever, jewels, with, you know, and I think the girls, by the way, should never be without a coronet.
Wow.
I think once they start stripping you girls down and they think, oh no, well, let's get rid of that. We're denying the story that this is a fight about kingdom and power. So that's just a couple of side notes. At any rate, so Kent works his way into Lear's favor. Oswald does the very thing you told him to do. He's rude to Lear. And Kent trips him, kicks him, and he's going to come running back to you. Lear is he so admires this behavior. He takes Kent on now as someone to serve him, not knowing that it is Kent. The fool will come in. Well, before the fool comes in, this knight comes in, and he says that Lear calls for you, and you say you're not well. He sends a knight back that says your daughter says she's not well. So you're denying coming to him. Then on top of it, this knight says to Lear that you're not receiving the respect from either your daughter or Albany that you deserve. And he said, forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn, but I think it's important for you to know. And Lear says, I've been noticing it myself. And that all leads up to the next moment. The fool comes in, starts to instigate what Lear has done as being foolish, as being wrong, because the fool is heartbroken that Cordelia has been banished, and that Lear's behavior is just terrible. And so he keeps trying to get that across to Lear. Lear's not heeding it. And so all of this happens, and then Goneril makes her entrance to confront Lear. Okay, does that all make sense? I know I'm kind of going through big chunks of the play, but so you do finally come in, even though you delayed your entrance. You're here, and now we're up to how now, daughter. What makes that front lid on? You with me? Okay.
No.
Got it.
Where?
It's 1-4.
Oh.
How now, daughter? It's after the. I don't have page numbers in my script. That's
okay. I just jumped too far ahead.
The fool says, I marvel what kin thou and thy daughters are. They'll have me whipped for speaking true. They'll have me whipped for lying. And sometimes I am whipped for peace. It's after that whole.
Yeah. So it says enter Goneril.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Good.
How now, daughter? What makes that frontlet on? Thou art too much of late in the frown.
Thou wast a pretty fellow when thou hast no need to care for her frowning. Now thou art an O without a fear. I am better than thou art now. I am a fool. Thou art nothing. Yes, forsooth, I will hold so your face bids me, though you say nothing. Mum, he that keeps nor crumb, weary of all shall want some. That's a shelled pescod.
Not only,
That's right.
not only, sir, this your all licensed fool, but other of your insolent retinue do hourly carp and quarrel, breaking forth in rank and not to be endured rights. Sir, I thought by making this well known unto you to have found a safe redress, but now go fearful by what yourself too late have spoken done, that you protect this course and put it on by your allowance, which if you should, the fault would not escape censure, nor the redresses sleep, which in the tender of a wholesome weal might in their working do you that offense, which else were shame, that the necessity will call discreet proceeding.
For you know, nuncle, the hedge sparrow fed the cuckoo so long that it's had its head bit off by it young. So out went the candle, and we were left darkling.
Are you our daughter?
I would you would make use of your good wisdom, whereof I know you are fraught, and put away these dispositions which of late transport you from what you rightly are.
May not an ass know when the cart draws the horse? Whoop, jug, I love thee.
Does any here know me? Huh? Oh, this is not Lear. Does Lear walk thus, speak thus? Where are his eyes? Huh? Either his notion weakens, his discerning's a lethargy. Waking? Oh, 'tis not so. Who is it that can tell me who I am?
Shadow.
Your name, fair gentlewoman?
This admiration, sir, is much of the savor of other your new pranks. I do beseech you to understand my purposes aright. as you are old and reverend, should be wise. Here do you keep 100 knights and squires, men so disordered, so debauched and bold, that this our court, infected with their manners, shows like a riotous inn. Epicurism and lust makes it more like a tavern or a brothel than a graced palace. The shame itself doth speak for instant remedy. Be then desired by her that else will take the things she begs, a little to disquantity your train, and the remainders that shall still depend to be such men as may besort your age, which know themselves and you.
Darkness and devils! Saddle my horses! Call my train together! Degenerate bastard! I'll not trouble thee. Yet have I left a daughter.
You strike my people, and your disordered rabble makes servants of their betters.
Woe that too late repents. Is it your will? Speak, sir. Prepare my horses. Ingratitude! The marble-hearted fiend, more hideous when thou showest thee in a child than in the sea monster.
Pray, sir, be patient.
Tested kite, thou liest. My train are men of choice and rarest parts, that all particulars of duty know, and in the most exact regard support the worships of their name. O small fault, how ugly didst thou in Cordelia show, which like an engine wrenched my frame of nature from the fixed place, drew from my heart all love, and added to the gall. Oh, Lear, 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 beat at this gate that let thy folly in and thy dear judgment out. Go, go, my people.
My lord, I am guiltless as I am ignorant of what have moved you.
It may be so, my lord. Dear nature, dear goddess here, suspend thy purpose if thou didst intend to make this creature fruitful. Into her womb convey sterility, dry up in her the organs of increase, and from her delicate body never spring a babe to honor her. If she must teem, create her child of spleen, that it may live and be a swart disnatured torment to her. Let it stamp wrinkles in her brow of youth, with cadent tears set fret channels in her cheeks, turn all her mother's pains and benefits to laughter and contempt, that she may feel how sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless child. Away, away.
Gods that we adore, whereof comes this?
Never afflict yourself to know more of it, but let his disposition have that scope as dotage gives it.
What? 50 of my followers at a clap within a fortnight.
What matters, sir?
Tell thee, life and death. I'm ashamed that thou hast power to shake my manhood thus, that these hot tears which break from me perforce should make thee work them. Blasts and fogs upon thee. The intended woundings of a father's curse pierce every sense about thee. Old fond eyes, beweep this cause again, I'll pluck ye out and cast you with the waters that you lose to temper clay. Ah? Well, let it be so. I have another daughter, who I'm sure is kind and comfortable. Oh, when she shall hear this of thee, with her nails she'll flay thy wolfish visage. Thou shalt find that I'll resume the shape which thou dost think I have cast off forever.
Mark that.
I cannot be so partial, Goneril, to the great love I bear you.
Are you content? What Hoswell ho? You, sir, more knave than fool, after your master.
Nuncle Lear, tarry, take the fool with thee. A fox, when one has caught her, and her, should be sure to the slaughter, if my cap would buy a halter. So the fool follows after.
This man hath had good counsel. 100 knights, 'tis politic and safe to let him keep at point 100 knights. Yes, that on every dream, each buzz, each fancy, each complaint, dislike, he may enguard his dotage with their powers and hold our lives in mercy. Oswald, I say!
Well, you fear too far.
Safer than trust too far. Let me still take away the harms I fear, not fear still to be taken. I know his heart. What he hath uttered, I have writ my sister. If she sustain, I have writ my sister. If she sustain him and his 100 knights, when I have showed the unfitness. Oh, is there more?
Yes, how now, Oswald? Cuts you off.
I'm sorry. I thought there was someone else. When I have showed the unfitness. How now, Oswald? What? Have you writ that letter to my sister?
Aye, madam.
Take you some company and away to horse. Inform a fool of my particular fear, and thereto add such reasons of your own as may compact it more. Get you gone and hasten your return. No, no, my lord. This milky gentleness and course of yours, though I condemn not, yet under pardon, you are much more at task for want of wisdom than praised for harmful mildness.
How far your eyes may peer, tell, striving to better off we mar what's well.
Nay, then.
Well, the event.
Good. Okay, so there's a lot of information there. And Jeannie, you
Wow.
see, yeah, you see how all of this plays into how you enter that scene that we're ultimately
Yes.
doing. And that's the woman who's going to come in. That's why when you have that line about that dotage, you know, that word dotage comes up, then it's you've come to the conclusion about him here. And that's what you're going to bring into that scene with. I think it's very important to point out, for me, one of the most important lines, and that is when Lear says that thou shalt find that I'll resume the shape which thou dost think I have cast off forever. That is a threat. That means that your kingdom is at threat. He'll take it back.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not just his randomly yelling at the gods and whatever. He is sane enough to make a threat. That means it's all over. If you allow him, and what will make that happen? Keeping his 100 knights and allowing them to defend his right to the crown.
Oh, you mean he can like make war upon?
That's exactly right.
Oh.
They're a physical threat to you both.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay.
And Regan will tell that to Goneril. Regan will say why she left home was that you wrote to her and told her about these riotous knights and that they were heading towards her, and she thought it was safer to not be there when he got there. So she's buying into this very thing that you have sent on to her. So it's not, again, just Regan saying, oh, I don't think I want to be there. It's tied to all of these events happening and Goneril getting the ball going from this scene and sending that letter to Regan. Okay. I would suggest that, and I'm sure this has occurred to you, that when you come in and the fool, and remember that the gentleman, Lear struck the gentleman for chiding at the fool. This is the reason he chided at the fool. The fool does not hold back. He says anything in the moment that he feels should be said. And that's why you have these wonderful, I love when you come
These
in.
these little rhymes and little things that the
Yes, but they're all
I mean,
insults.
they just so infuriate me.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. And when he says, for instance, in the beginning of just before you come in, and Thomas says, I'd rather be any kind of thing than a fool, and yet I would not be thee, nuncle. Thou hast paired thy wit on both sides and left nothing in the middle. Oh, here comes one of the pairings. And so that's his first comment to you. Lear asks you why you're so grumpy, and who answers? Not Goneril, the fool. That was a pretty fellow, when thou hadst no need, no care for her frowning. And now he makes, now you're an a figure with, I'm better than you are. Yeah. And that line that he has, I'm better than thou art now, I'm a fool, thou art nothing. You see that, yes, forsooth, I will hold my tongue, so since your face bids me. It's you he's saying that to.
Yes.
You are casting a look at him like, shut up, or I am going to strike you myself. And that's why you bounce. Yeah, you get right into, not only, sir, here's a reason. I have proof in front of me right here. Not only this, but everything else that has happened, and then you go, of course, go into your speech. I love there's one moment where she says, what is it? I had thought by making this well known unto you, to have found a safe redress, but now grow fearful by what yourself too late have spoken done, that you protect this course and put it on by your allowance, which if this is a section, which if you should, the fault would not scape censure, nor the redresses sleep, which in the tender of a wholesome weal might in their working do you that offense, which else was shame, that then necessity will call discreet proceeding. There's nothing direct about that. That is your attempt at, I am a fine monarch, and this is a description of why I have to behave the way I'm. It may look rude to some, but the damage it's doing to our commonwealth cries out for this. But she doesn't say it directly. She does it with this sort of couched language of, and then again, the fool comes in.
Am I saying, okay, let's see. Nor the redresses sleep, which in the tender of a wholesome weal might in their working do that offense, which else was shame.
Yeah.
That then necessity, I don't understand this last line, that then necessity will call discreet proceeding. Oh, I'm saying that what I'm doing is necessary to keep.
That's right. And it may not look that way.
Yes, but then
Right.
necessity called discreet proceed. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, right.
Okay.
And
then the fool comes in, for you know not to
Yes,
that
that's
he had his
right.
head bit off by this young. It's like,
No. And if I bring it up because Lear doesn't recognize her. Are you our daughter? Are you the one who said more than any child ever loved? Are you who? And he's going to culminate in who are you? But he says, "Are you our daughter?" She comes back in. I would make use of your good wisdom, where I know you're not fraught. You are fraught. Supplied. By the way, it's not fraught. It is fraught. Whereof I know you are supplied, fraught. And stop this behavior, which are changing you from who you should be.
yes,
That's kind of the paraphrase of it. And who comes in again?
you're a king. You act like a king.
Yes. And so the fool then says, may not the ass know
when the cart draws a horse.
Yes, and you see that whoop jug, I love you. Jug is a common word for Joan, for a loose woman, for it's kind of a flirtatious when you call a woman a jug.
Yeah.
But that lets us know you're saying it to Goneril.
Mm-hmm.
Lear is not the jug. And then Lear in his state of, what does anybody know what's going on? It's just an absolute stupor. Does he walk, speak? He goes on and on. And then, of course, the fool comes in again to teach him a lesson. It's a very important line. This is like Lizzie's line, what need one, or, those little, but this is Lear's shadow.
Yeah.
The lesson is, that's all you are. You're not king at all. You gave it away. Lear's shadow. And that eggs Lear on. And he's going to show the fool and everybody else, I'm not dead yet. Are you our daughter? And now the next section starts. And then she comes in with this admiration. And look, Regan, Lizzie, does it sound familiar? It's the same argument you're going to give to him later. You're old.
Yeah.
and here again, it's very important. Here do you keep 100 knights? She's already gotten rid of 50 of them. She's trying to get him to see that, to see that it's not right for him to have it, but it's done. He's going to come, he's going to exit. She's not going to exit ever. He's going to exit and come back and say, what? 50 knights? So you've already done it. You've already gotten rid of 50 of the 100. Okay.
Annie, the syntax of that sentence is just a little confusing to me. I understand what it's saying. I'm saying I've already dismissed 50 of your knights, but it goes, be then desired by her that else will take the thing she begs, a little to disquantity or train, and the remainders that shall still depend to be such men. So I just, those 3 lines, it's hard for me to hear what exactly, just the grammar of it. Be then desired by her that else will take the thing she begs, a little to disquantity or train. It sounds, I've already done it, right? But to me, this doesn't sound like I've already done it.
That's my point. That's exactly my point. You're making him believe you haven't done it. And so you're trying to say to him, yes.
Okay, thank you. Somehow I missed
exactly that's the thing. It's like, well, what is she's trying to get him
and
to
then
say.
he goes off stage and then he comes back and he
Finds
says,
out
they're
they're
already
gone.
gone.
That's right.
Yes,
And
okay,
that's why he's enraged, you know.
thank you.
And that darkness and devil's saddle, he's ready to go. He's ready to head off to the next daughter.
I'll
And
call my 100 nights together but 50 of them have already gone.
yes, that's right.
The
That's right.
directing, it feels like, I know we're not talking about directing, but it feels like such a crucial directing problem, the knights, and how to make it clear what they are. Because I feel like when you see film versions, I've only seen a couple stage versions, like we don't know what they are, and we don't know what it is to have a retinue. And when you portray it as like they are his
Car keys.
right, we're going to take your car keys, but then also if you mess with me, they are my hitmen.
Yes.
And if you, because I feel like when we see them, they're in like chain mail and they have like tankards of like foam and they just are like dumb, you know?
Right.
But
Right.
she is kind of saying they're bringing like sex workers into my house. Like they're bringing like,
Yeah.
it feels like you'd have to really find, and I'm sure you have, find the places to inject the sense of their threat.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's not on a line. It's not on language.
No, you have to. That's why I think you're quite right. It's all about how do you stage what's not in the word, you know. That's why I say scholars can look at this stuff, but until you get it up on its feet, you can't solve those problems. I think part of it is them coming in from hunting, how they treat him, how he treats them. I think you have to see them as being men who, because that's where they were out hunting. They weren't out fighting battles. So I don't know that chainmail is necessary for that
But
scene.
they can be covered with blood.
They could be, well, yeah, I mean, again, now it's opened up to what choices can you possibly make. I think one of the things that I would have happen is have him, first of all, come in with more than 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Now it's been diminished so much that you see, and have him, you know, slam them on the back, you know, slap him on the back and then bow as he goes by them. So you at least see these men are supportive. And even if they're not knights, that they will defend him under any circumstances. And if they were common men, they would get the weaponry needed to put him back on the throne if that's what he asks them to do. So it's not so much creating an army as it is that he has this support
Yeah.
Well,
with him.
it behooves the actor doing the gentleman that speaks,
Yes.
and whoever the extras are to represent the knights,
That's
to
right.
be men who you know by instinct and how they carry themselves have been trained martially,
Yeah. You would
that
need
they are
like,
fully capable of handling anything
That's
physically.
right. Yep.
and these days when we do Shakespeare, it's like 3 people, 4 people.
Yeah.
I know.
Really need like 30 beefy of any
Yeah,
They're
gender.
you
full
need, that's right.
blown.
And then just to show also how cumbersome they are, how long it takes them to get on and off stage.
Yes, that they fill the space.
Yeah.
Randy and I saw recently 2 productions of Romeo and Juliet, and the banquet scene,
Oh,
and it goes, they're small theaters, they don't have money, they didn't have a company, but in the banquet scene, they only had 3 women and Juliet, and the 3 women were Lady Capulet in a mask, and the nurse in a mask, and then some servant. But the whole story of Romeo going to the banquet to put, compare Juliet to all of the other lovely girls there and Rosalind didn't happen. So the story is not there. And so if you're going to do it, you do need to have those ladies at that banquet. Otherwise, I don't know why you would even have the idea that it just doesn't matter, since it's the crux of the first scene in the play with Romeo. So I think there are scenes that call out for many people. And it doesn't have to be 100 nights, but you can certainly give isn't it in Henry V when the chorus says, into one man divide and make puissance, make an army out of one man. Okay, but have enough. And have, as Randy said, have the way they behave show that they will be of support to him. Yeah. Were you going to say it, Randy?
no, nothing.
Okay. So my last thing about this scene is that you strike my people. I just want to point out to you, Jeannie, it's in prose. And what happens is, to me, it goes from all of this formality of trying to put her case in front of him, even though it's heated, and, but when it comes to this, here's the directness that she didn't have with the redresses speech. Here, she lashes out the same way Cordelia, I suggested that Thomas lash out at Cordelia, as Cordelia, with the Goneril and Regan. I think it happens here too. You strike my people, and this is no longer a queen who's commanding a subject, or a daughter who's talking to her father. This is what I mean. And that for him is just an insult that is beyond, that you actually get down and dirty with him, because it's in prose. The only reason I'm saying it's in prose. You see, it's not there's no formality there at all. And it's the only line you have in prose. You know where am I ahead of everybody?
No, I see where you are.
Yeah.
That's where he says, saddle my horses, call my train together.
Yes.
Degenerate bastard, I'll not trouble thee. Yet have I left a daughter.
And she comes in,
Strike
right?
my people.
One of the things I just want to point out about Lear now, in case you've noticed, he's starting to see Cordelia's, well, I would say somewhat innocence, but he's still hanging on to a fault in her made him overreact. He's not pointing out that he's the one who's at fault and not Cordelia. He has that to learn yet. So the journey it's not like you think, well, why doesn't he go to Cordelia? He's not there yet. He believes that Regan will save the day. Which lets me know that the two of you are trusted. He trusts that what you said in that first scene, you meant. Poor man, but he does. And so now his going off to Regan, he has absolute confidence that she will not be like you. Okay. Anything else, anybody? And of course, Albany being somewhat laid back and innocent. Albany is a totally different character in the quarto than he is in the folio. His lines are different.
Really?
Yes, in the quarto, he's much more philosophical. He's not here. He seems to just hold back and sort of warn Goneril, maybe you're going too far. That's why she says to him, it's your mildness that people aren't praising you for your mildness. They're not calling it wisdom. And then, of course, the threat that I talked about, right? I'll resume that shape that you think that I have cast off forever. And that's why you say, do you mark that? Are you listening to what he just said? He's a threat, right? And then Albany says, I cannot be so partial, Goneril, to the great love I bear you. I can't be partial, only love you. I have to weigh out both sides. You cut him off.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then you tell the fool to get out too. And then I think everything else fell right in. I think everything fell into place.
I love this play.
Yeah. Yeah. Really wonderful, isn't it?
A lot of fireworks, don't you think?
Oh man, but it's so great when you make it we take the time to make it a real flesh and blood family.
Yeah.
Yes. And when are
Yeah.
they family? When are they daughter? When are they subject? When
Yes.
are they
father?
queen or lady? Because it keeps going back and forth with that.
Because when Lear is like raging at me, all these things he's saying, like cursing, and it just eviscerates me, to hear these curses raining. And I feel like this is like, no matter where the relationship is now, there was that time when I was just this little girl and he was my daddy.
Yes.
And, to hear, it was surprising to me just listening to it now, how just it felt like a sword cutting me, certain things that he says.
Yep.
Yes.
And horrifying. And then there was the feeling of, no, I'm in charge now. I have the power now. I've got to stand my ground. I knew he was going to say things like this. I knew it. And I have to stand my ground and I have to be strong and I have to. Yeah. But then if he's, what you said about when he says, I'll assume my former shape, and that if that's a real threat, then that's, oh my God. Okay. Okay. He is now a threat again. So it's just.
And it was in the back of your mind the whole time that might be an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, that's even with Regan, you bring that up we're going to see more trouble from him. I'm telling you, there's going to be trouble. And then he obviously,
but
you
then
push
to
him over the
actually
ledge.
hear him say it.
Yeah.
Is like.
That's right.
Like he just hit you. Like,
and I want to also,
yes.
Rennie,
there's a lot of stuff that are as violent as if he actually raised his hand to you and slapped you.
Yes.
Multiple times. I mean, it's like he beats up on you with words.
And saying the most cruel thing that you could say to, a woman about like her womb and her beauty and her,
And you heard him say some of this to Cordelia. He
Yeah.
said, I would rather eat my own, my own children. I forgot what I would.
I'd rather deal with.
Than not to have pleased me better, as he's.
Yeah.
Cordelia.
But he says
like
some horrible things to Cordelia, and now he's going to pull the same thing with. Here's the other thing, guys. I just want to throw into the mix. Start to look for where you're surprised. I know, because the language is so rich, and the emotions so charged. If you can add a moment of shock at what you're hearing, rather than I don't care what you're saying, I'm gonna lash out this way. That you hear this so that when you make your argument, it's coming out of, and Jeannie, you planted that in me, it's coming from the surprise of being hit with something you didn't expect to come, and then you speak. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a sense of surprise rather than I knew you were going to say that, I knew you were going to say that.
Yes.
But it escalates to something much bigger than either one of you ever thought possible.
Like I feel like, okay, I know that this news was not going to go over well, but to hear him say the horrible thing, I didn't think it was going to be that horrific. What he said. Yeah,
that's right. Because all you're saying is just quantity. You're trained. Be wise about this. Don't be such a. You know, you're not saying you're a dirty old man and I can't stand your guts. And you don't say anything like you're trying to say, in order for this kingdom to be of the stature it should be, you need to behave better. That's all you're saying to him,
Yes.
really.
Yes.
You know, and then he goes, but once he does, then you come, you know. I think there's a little of Lear in each one of his daughters,
Yes.
Mm,
you know.
yeah.
Let's
Makes
move on to the next, because we only have a half hour.
Oh.
And I want to bring Regan now. So now he's on his way to Regan's. And I think it's in this dialogue anyway, but let's pick it up from Enter Cornwall. Regan, how now, my noble friend, since I came hither? It's
Yep.
right after the Gloucester and Bastard scene. Lizzie, are you there with me?
Sorry, I keep jumping ahead, thinking wrongly. So it's 2-1.
It is 2-1.
Okay.
Yep.
And what line-ish? And now Edmund, where's the villain?
No, it's after.
Oh no, noble friend. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So Enter Cornwall, Regan in attendance.
Well, no, my noble friend, since I came hither, which I can call but now, I've heard strangeness.
If it be true, all vengeance comes too short, which can pursue the offender. How does my lord?
Randy, you want to?
What?
Randy, could you do Gloucester for this little section?
Yeah. Oh, madam, my old heart is cracked. It's cracked.
What, did my father's godson seek your life? He whom my father named, your Edgar?
Oh, lady, shame would have it hid.
Was he not companion with the riotous knights that tended upon my father?
I know not, madam, but 'tis too bad, too bad.
Yes,
Yes, madam, he was of that.
Good. Okay.
No marvel then, though he were ill affected. 'Tis they have put him on the old man's death to have the expense and waste of his revenues. I have this present evening from my sister been well informed of them, and with such cautions that if they come to sojourn at my house, I'll not be there.
Nor I assure thee, Regan. Edmund, I hear that you have shown your father a childlike office. It
Was my duty,
duty.
so let me do one or the other, huh?
Okay.
Let me do
Okay,
Bastard.
okay, sir.
Okay.
He
Nor
did
I.
parade his practice and
Nor I
received-
assure thee, Regan.
What?
Edmund, I hear that you have shown your father a childlike office.
It was my duty, sir.
He did bewray his practice and received this hurt, you see, striving to apprehend him.
Is he pursued?
Aye, my good lord.
If he be taken, he shall never more be feared of doing harm. Make your own purpose. But in my strength you please. For you, Edmund, whose virtue and obedience doth this instant so much commend itself, you shall be ours. Natures of such deep trust we shall much need. You we first seize on.
I shall serve you, sir, truly, however else.
For him I thank your grace.
You know not why we came to.
Thus, out of season, threading dark-eyed night, occasions noble Gloucester of some prize, wherein we must have use of your advice. Our father he hath writ, so hath our sister of differences, which I best thought it fit to answer from our home. The several messengers from hence attend dispatch. Our good old friend lay comforts to your bosom, and bestow your needful counsel to our businesses, which craves the instant use.
I serve you, madam. Your graces are right welcome.
Good. Okay, so let's take a look what's happened here. You have received the letter from your sister, Regan, and you and Cornwall have decided you're not going to be there when Lear shows up. And I think that one of the things that you've heard along the way, of course, is that Edgar has made an attempt on Gloucester's life.
Yeah.
And you come in with that sense of we can join in league against these. And I think that's why you bring up, wasn't he part of those riotous nights? We haven't seen him in the first scene. We didn't see him with Lear in the hunting scene or any of that. So he has been with Gloucester in Gloucestershire. But again, you have this information and you're making a link
Yeah.
between what's just happened to Gloucester and the threat that Edgar has made and him being associated with Lear. Because, you know, you're going to have to defend your leaving when your father is coming to see you. It's again, it's not a simple thing. The king is coming to because you've heard that he's leaving Goneril and he's coming to you. That's major. Why aren't you there to greet him?
Yeah.
Do you see? But now you have to have an excuse to even to Gloucester. This is terrible. So I would incite him. I would make him feel, oh, this is terrible. You're in danger. I might be in danger. We're all in danger and we must do something about it. And that's why I'm not staying home. You know what I mean? The urgency underneath why you left and have come to Gloucester. What did my father's godson seek your life? Him who you called named your lady, and so you can start to really play on his grief, lady. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, I don't know. It's too bad. Get him on your side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know. So don't let him see any side of duplicitousness or anything that you may be thinking that would stand against him or the king. Make it all feel as if you are there because both you need him and he needs you. We all have to join together against these terrible knights. Why? Because once again, those knights that we have, you know, we talked about staging, but those knights are a threat.
Mm.
No more, though he were ill affected. 'Tis they have put him. 'Tis they have put him
Yes.
on the old man's death, to have the expense and waste of his revenues.
Yes. So they incited Edgar to in a plot even against killing Lear or Gloucester because they want those knights want his money. And if they kill him, they can rob him. It's all made up. But again, that's what you're trying to. Yeah.
They did it to have the expense and waste of his revenues. Oh,
that's right. That's right.
I have this present evening. I've been well informed of them, and with such, that's why I'm leaving.
That's exactly right. With caution. Yeah, that's why I have to be here. So now you've taken away any suspicion about, I don't want to be there because I don't want to deal with my father. And you've turned it into, it was the only safe choice I could possibly make.
Yeah.
And then he won't question it at all. And I think I always find Cornwall such an interesting character because in this family, it's Regan who wears the pants. And in Goneril's family, it's Albany still tries to be more commanding than Cornwall. Cornwall is somebody who he has a heart. We're told that he is fiery and an angry man. We'll see signs of that. But here, he is absolutely in love with Regan, and anything she says jump, he says how high. And that's why that line, Thomas, nor I assure you, I assure you, Regan. It's a character of, a partner development there. And Edmund, who does he take a fancy to? Edmund. And why he says our natures are so alike. Yeah, they really are. And so then we move on to Gloucester Cornwall saying, do you know why we're here? Do you know why we've come to visit you? And you come right in. You don't wait for him to say, no, I don't. You come right in. It's so unusual, out of season, she says, threading dark night. It's a dangerous thing to weave through night to get here. But it's worth it. The price was high. And we need your advice. See how you're pulling him in? We need your advice. My sister wrote to us, and we have heard about the trouble that's up there. I'm sorry. And give us counsel. You're asking you again, counsel and advice from him. You're winning him over. Why? Because when Lear shows up, you have to cut off all support from Lear, and you
Right.
have to have Gloucester on your side as well now. And this is your way of doing that. And he says, "I serve you, madam. Your graces are right welcome." He doesn't say, "I'll talk to your father first."
No.
You have to make him understand this is best for all of us to take this route. And it's not us being rude at all. Okay. And then we have the Kent and Oswald confrontation, which is wonderfully fun, but it also shows you how rude one servant is and how Kent can hold his own. Cornwall comes in and breaks that up, and they put Kent in the stocks. And you put him in the stocks as well. And not only do you put him in the stocks, but you say, and I'm jumping, you don't have, I'll just do this quickly because I want to get to the lines, the next section. But he says, the Cornwall says, "Fetch forth the stocks. As I have life and honor, there shall he sit till noon." Regan says, "Till noon?" "Till night, my lord, and all night too." Ah, the lovely Regan. And then Ken says, "Why, madam, if I were your father's dog, you should not use me so." She says, "Sarah, being his knave, I will." And that's how she treats servants. And the reason I'm reading this right now is because the importance of this is Lear is going to show up and say to Kent, "Why are you in the stocks? And what did you do?" And he will say, "Your daughter and your son-in-law put me." And Lear will say, "No, no, that's not possible." And he says, "Yes." And that's where the next scene will start. Lear calls you because he can't believe that the two of you would have stocked his servant. So that's why he's not there because you left home. He's not there. He's here to ask you the question, "Who put my man in the stocks?" And of course, you deflect. "I'm glad to see your highness." Oh, yeah. Well, I'll talk about that later. Oh, Regan, I have to. You see what I mean? So but his initial instinct is to say, "Who put my man in the stocks?" But you pull him away by being a loving daughter. Okay, and that brings us up to our scene.
Okay.
So can we pick it up from, "I am hail to your grace"? Is that it? Oh, good morrow to you both. And we'll go right through.
Good morrow to you both.
Hail to your grace.
I'm glad to see your highness.
Oh, Regan, I think you are. I know what reason I have to think so. If thou shouldst not be glad, I would divorce me from thy mother's tomb, sepulchering an adulteress. Oh, are you free? Some other time for that. Beloved Regan, thy sister's not, oh, Regan. She had time, sharp-toothed unkindness like a vulture here. Thou wouldst not believe what our depraved equality. Oh, Regan.
I pray you, sir, take patience. I have hope you less know how to value her desert than she to scant her duty.
Say, how's that?
I cannot think my sister in the least would fail her obligation. If, sir, perchance she have restrained the riots of your followers, 'tis on such ground and to such wholesome end as clears her from all blame.
My curses on her.
Oh, sir, you are old. Nature in you stands on the very verge of his confine. You should be ruled and led by some discretion that discerns your state better than you yourself. I therefore pray you that to our sister you do make return. Say you have wronged her.
Why, ask her forgiveness? Do but mark how this becomes the house. Dear daughter, I confess that I'm old. Age is unnecessary. On my knees, I beg that you vouchsafe me raiment, bed, and food.
But, sir, no more. These are unsightly tricks. Return you to my sister.
Never, Regan. He has abated me of half my train. Looked black upon me, struck me with a tongue most serpent-like upon the very heart. All the stored vengeances of heaven fall on her ingrateful top.
Strike her, young.
Top. Strike her young bones, you taking airs with lameness.
Aye, sir, fie.
Nimble lightnings dart your blinding flames into her scornful eyes. Infect her beauty, you fen-sucked fogs drawn by the powerful sun to fall and blister.
The blessed gods! So will you wish on me when the rash mood is on.
Oh no, Regan, thou shalt never have my curse. Thy tender hefted nature shall not give thee o'er to harshness. Her eyes are fierce, but thine to comfort, not burn. It's not in thee to grudge my pleasures, cut off my train, to bandy hasty words, to scant my sizes, and in conclusion to oppose the bolt against my coming in. No, thou better knowest the offices of nature, bond of childhood, effects of courtesy, dues of gratitude. Thy half of the kingdom hast thou not forgot, wherein I thee endowed.
Good sir, to the purpose.
Who stalked my servant?
What trumpet's that?
I note, my sisters, this approves her letter that she should soon be here. Is your lady come?
Oh, this is a slave whose easy borrowed pride dwells in the sickly grace of her he follows. Out, varlet, from my sight!
What means your grace?
Who stalked my servant? Regan, I have good hope thou didst not know on it. But who comes here? Oh, heavens! If you do love old men, if your sweet sway allow obedience, if you yourselves are old, make it your cause, send down and take my part. Art not ashamed to look upon this beard? Regan, will you take her by the hand?
Why not by the hand, sir? How have I offended? All's not offense that indiscretion finds, and dotage terms so.
Those sides you're too tough, will you yet hold? How came my man in the stocks?
I set him there, sir, but his own disorders deserve much less advancement.
You? Did you?
Hey, your father being weak seems so. If till the expiration of your month you will return and sojourn with my sister, dismissing half your train, come then to me. I am now from home, and out of that provision which shall be needful for your entertainment.
Return to her, and 50 men dismissed? No, rather I abjure all rules, and choose to wage against the enmity of the air, be a comrade with the wolf and owl, the necessity's sharp pinch. Return with her? By the hot-blooded France that dowerless took our youngest born, I could as well be brought to knee his throne and squire like pension beg to keep base life afoot. Return with her? Bid me rather to be slave and sumpter to this detested groom.
At your choice, sir.
I prithee, daughter, do not make me mad. I will not trouble thee, my child. Farewell. We'll no more meet, no more see one another. But yet thou art my flesh, my blood, my daughter. Or rather a disease that's in my flesh, which I must needs call mine. Thou art a boil, a plague sore, or embossed carbuncle in my corrupted blood. But I'll not chide thee. Let shame come when it will. I do not bid it. I do not call it. I do not bid the thunder bearer shoot, nor tell tales of thee to high judging Jove. Mend when thou canst. I can be patient. I can stay with Regan, I and my 100 knights.
Not altogether so. I looked not for you yet, nor am provided for your fit welcome. Give ear, sir, to my sister, for those that mingle reason with your passion must be content to think you old, and so, but she knows what she does.
Is this well spoken?
I dare avouch it, sir. What 50 followers? Is it not well? What should you need of more? Yea, or so many? Sit that both charge and danger speak against so great a number. How in one house should many people under two commands hold amity? 'Tis hard, almost impossible.
Why might not you, my lord, receive attendance from those that she calls servants, or from mine?
Why not, my lord? If then they chance to slack ye, we could control them. If you will come to me, for now I spy a danger, I entreat you to bring but 25. To no more will I give place or notice.
I gave you all.
And in good time you gave it.
Made you my guardians, my depositaries, but kept a reservation to be followed with such a number. What? Must I come to you with 25? Regan, said you so?
Speak again, my lord, no more with me.
As wicked creatures, you look well favored when others are more wicked. Not being the worst, stands in some rank of praise. I'll go with thee. Thy 50 doth double 25, and thou art twice her love.
Hear me, my lord. What need you 25, 10, or 5 to follow in a house where twice so many have a command to tend you?
What need one?
Reason, not the need. Our basest beggars are in the poorest things superfluous. Allow not nature more than nature needs. Thou art a lady.
Allow more than nature needs, man's life is cheap as beast.
Allow not nature more than nature needs. Man's life is cheap as beast. Thou art a lady. If only to go warm or gorgeous, why, nature needs not what thou gorgeous wearest, which scarcely keeps thee warm, but for true need. Oh, you heavens, oh, you gods, give me that patience I need. Heavens, if you see me here, you gods, a poor old man, full of grief as age, wretched in both. If it be you that stirs these daughters' hearts against their father, fool me not so much to bear it tamely. Touch me with noble anger. Let not women's weapons water drops stain my man's cheeks. No, you are natural hags. I will have such revenges on you both that all the earth shall. I will do such things, what they are yet, I know not, but they shall be the terrors of the earth. Oh, you think I'll weep? Oh, I'll not weep. I have full cause for weeping, but this heart shall break into 100,000 flaws, or ere I'll weep. Oh, fool. I shall go mad.
Okay, good. I want to just say one thing about the next step for all of us. You can start to see as you move in this play, it gets more emotional. If it stays only emotional, the words, which are pretty big words, are going to get lost. And I think when anybody can say a word that's 3 syllables or longer, it means that they have their emotions under control. When we, that's why New York, everybody says fuck. You know, hurry up, fuck, get the fuck out of my, because they're like this 24/7. So they don't have time to say, please excuse me, I'd like to get through. You don't do that. It's very hard to do that when you're in a state of, so when you look at the content of what they're saying, these arguments count, and you have to be careful of allowing your emotion to take over, because then it's just a shouting match.
Yeah.
And what you want to ask yourself is, do I want to change their minds? Or do I want to just lash out? Now, there are moments where Lear lashes out, talks to the heavens because he can't get things done with his daughters. But what do you want from each other when you're talking to each other? So it starts at the beginning of this scene when you say, when you greet each other, I'm glad to see your, even a line like that. Whether you're glad or not is not the point. What do you want from him? If you want him to listen to you and be persuasive, then you're going to have to do it in a way that says nothing makes you happier than seeing him. Because that will make him forget that he was told that you stalked his servant. Then he goes on, and his upset is with, and by the way, Randy, this just occurred to me too. I would suggest that the adulteress line be a little bit of a joke.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
right.
occurred to me that, yeah.
It's like almost a relief, right? That she's,
Yeah.
And so beloved Regan, your sister's no, he pours his heart out to her. And I think what you need to do again, Regan, is to decide, what do you want from him? Because if you give him any sign that you're equaling Goneril, you're going to lose him.
Yeah, not muscling him, but
Yes.
but reducing, minimize.
Yeah.
Say
I
the
can
muscle
give you,
later.
Yeah.
I can give you an example. My sister's in the hospital right now. She's in therapy, physical therapy. She doesn't want to be there. And so she called me last night to say, I don't want to be here. I don't care. And I don't want to be here. And I didn't say to her, just buck up and get through it. I didn't say that. What did I say to her? I said to her, isn't there any way that they could get you something that you like? Couldn't you bring, I said, Angelica, you're going to have to be there because I don't care. I don't want to be. So you're, even though inside you may want to shake him, I think you're going to have to keep saying, how can I change? What's my tactic going to be to change him? And I think that the same thing with you, Randy, I think, and we talked about this, you're so kind to her, and it's Goneril, that every time she mentions Goneril, it sends you into a tailspin, because you're remembering what you just witnessed by leaving. The other part of this that no one ever talks about in the scholarly stuff is he comes into that scene from hunting hungry. He never eats. And now he's an 80-year-old man on the road coming to see his second. He just had a huge fight with his first daughter. Now he's on the road to meet his second daughter. She's not there. Back on the horses. Now I got to go to Gloucester's. Then he gets there as servant and stuff. So he's 80. He's hungry. He's tired. So part of the emotion that starts to set in, I think, it is part and parcel of what's happening in this night. People are really in their emotions. They are strained. Everything is strained. But I just keep wanting you to just simply look again. Well, with Regan, you say nature in you stands on the very verge of his confine. She doesn't say you're old and you're going to die. And that's not just an Elizabethan way of saying it. It's Regan's way of being diplomatic.
It's a turn of phrase.
That's right. That's right. And therefore, you should be ruled. Think of it this way, Father. Let us take care of you.
Yeah.
You don't want to face
our
this.
decision.
Yeah. Let us strip you of all your knights and everything you have, and we'll see how it goes. But at any rate, that's the next step, I think, in all of it, is to go back. Again, when I'm directing or coaching, I always feel that I want to give you guys enough rein, because when you're feeling something, I don't want to squelch that. So you don't, you just don't do that. I want you to go with that, but just keep reminding you that there's a lot that has to be said, and it can get lost in a lot of emotion if we're not careful.
Yeah.
The questions, anything, anything that I noticed?
You know that your idea that he's hungry and tired and everything, that's why his final threats are so ineffectual.
Yeah.
Then says, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but they're gonna be the terrors of the, it
Yeah.
becomes almost gibberish.
Yep.
Almost
And that line he has at the
without
end,
power.
when he says, I shall go mad, it's because he cannot fathom how this could be happening.
Yeah.
I gave you all.
Yeah.
How can this how can both daughters, not just one? And you
Yeah.
have all your money is on Regan. And that's why, Lizzie, I want him to feel good about that until,
Yeah.
Doesn't. Yeah.
so good.
Right.
You know?
Really just takes his breath away, right? It's just like a sucker punch to the gut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is how
Never
you
saw
feel.
that coming.
Yeah. After a truly horrible fight with family, you feel like
Yeah.
the world is upside down.
Yes, right. And you feel bad about it. And, but
No,
so I think,
I did have one question.
Yeah.
About the curses, raining the curses down on their heads. And I think I was trying to ask myself if I actually feared as Goneril those curses, like is a former king's curse.
Mhm.
Do I feel like that holds weight up there with the gods? I just wasn't sure, how much I feared what he's saying in terms of his power to rain down, to ruin my life with these curses.
yes, right.
Or is it just that, that's just kind of, he's just ranting and they're horrific things he's saying and they hurt, but do I fear that I could actually be, all these things could happen to me because of his curses?
I think you're
What's
more,
what, so
well, I think you're more fearful of what can be taken away from you in this life than anything the gods will do to you. I think that,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying, like the womb and the beauty and the
I
yeah.
think, I guess my feeling would be that it's more hurtful personally than it is fearful, in a cosmic way.
Okay.
That he would even say such a thing,
Mhm.
Right.
That's more
Because she
hurtful.
doesn't say, do you mark that when he does her womb? She says it when he says that I will take it back again. You know?
Yeah, I'm just trying to imagine how I'd feel if my dad ever said things like that to me.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
again, you did see him do it. This is my point. You did see him do it to
do
Cordelia.
it to Cordelia,
So
yes.
is it
true.
him just going off again into this world of I'm angry and this is, how I'm going to let everybody know it. But it is in effect, I liked when Randy was saying earlier, what's to me about Lear is he finds out that his curses are ineffectual.
Mm,
He has no power, and curses without power are just not effective. Not going to change anything.
it makes him pathetic, right?
Yes, it does. And I think that's one of the reasons he says, you think I'll weep, but I won't weep. But the weeping has to do with being pathetic, nothing's happening as a result. He can't banish you. He banished Kent. He can't do really anything. That's why he says, they shall be such, what they are, I don't know. What? You don't know? Well, you were pretty specific in Act 1.
Yeah, I find that line so what's the word, where you really see how he's lost his power because it's like, I'm gonna do these terrible things. I don't know what they're gonna be, but they're gonna be bad. They're really gonna be bad.
Right.
And you just
It's
feel like,
almost heartbreaking in a sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
like no fangs anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was literally thinking like you defanged and declawed what was the beast known as Lear.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the things that just reminded me, Thomas,
He's
was,
gonna have to go mad in order to realize it
yeah.
and to
right.
realize who he really is. He's a
Yeah.
good old man.
Well, and he's gone from the stages of being king, and then he's a fool, and then he's mad.
Yeah.
And then he's back
Yeah.
All these little tidbits, you keep finding. At any rate, my dears, I don't know how next week works. Maybe Nathan will pop in and let us know.
Yes.
Do we just do it and talk, or is it another session? I'm not sure. Has anybody done this? Oh, yay, I knew he'd come.
Before I forget, can I take a photo of us?
Of course.
Sure.
Here, I'll stop the video so it can just be a family affair.
Oh, no, I want you in here too. Nathan, I want you in here too.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
How did you do it?
2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jeannie.
You're welcome. So yes, very briefly, next week is a bit of a continuation of the work you guys have been doing. It is not meant to be final or certainly, even approaching something as perfect, or whatever that would mean. It's just a continuation of the work, and that's how I try to contextualize it for anyone that shows up. The one difference is that we do allow people to sit in live, and so and what we found, talking to Randall and Annie after the last time we worked together, because they have a particular way of approaching the work, that I will probably just kind of limit questions to those people who have either have some history with their work, or those who have been watching these sessions along, so that we, because you can talk ad nauseum about, like, well, I think Lear's doing this in this scene with this line, and that's not really what we're here to focus on. It's especially with their approach. It's yes, you can have those discussions, but I think because of how you guys focus so much on the folio and the clues therein, we can kind of gear the questions towards that. And if there is a question that I think is relevant to the work you guys have been doing, I can bring that forward. But that's kind of a small part of next week. Once you're welcome to kind of just, again, start the session however you would like, whether you want to talk about something first, whether you want to read the scene, discuss it a little bit more, read it again, and then once you feel like you've done whatever you want to do for next week, whether it's reading the scene a couple times or whatever, after an hour or so, I mean, there's no rush. Then I can open up for questions, and we can chat a little bit, and then that'll be it.
Good. Everybody heard that?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, this went by so fast.
It really did.
I know. And we got through quite a big chunk of the beginning of the
Tell me
play,
about it.
which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been able to listen to as much as I can today, and I'll probably go back and listen again, but it's so enjoyable that for me, that you guys, like as an attendee, just to get to listen to the depth of conversations you can have, because you have so much time to talk about this one scene, and of course you have some time to go back and look at the earlier scenes and how it informs that, but just the minutia that you can get into, and talking about, and of course, as humans, we all have these moments of when somebody's talking to you, and probably in like modern day speak, we talk about like, well, you're blaming me. You're using blaming language for all of this. And, why aren't you taking responsibility? I mean, can you just tell me how this makes you feel? And then I might be in a better place to respond to that. So when you think about all those things as a human, it's like all the stuff that would be going on for you as a human when somebody's railing at you. And it's just like, okay, I can't explode on this person right now, which is what I want to do, which would be the easy thing. So how do I navigate this situation? Because there's so much going on and there's so much at stake. And it just makes it for a very rich experience, even for me as an observer, to just be thinking about all this, that again, makes them much more real people than we are maybe traditionally introduced to them as. It's like, well, here's King Lear and here's Regan, and here it's like, yeah, but they're a family squabbling. They're arguing over, who gets the money,
Yes.
when the patriarch dies, that's what it,
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's very enjoyable for me.
For us too.
For me as
Yeah,
well.
no, you're all doing such a great job too. It's really wonderful.
Randy and Randy, do you teach ongoing classes?
Yes, we do.
No.
Go ahead, Randy.
No, Annie's the coach, really. Annie's the teacher. I'm just.
What we do is what we
I
try
just
to
tag
do is
along.
when we coach, what we try to do in our joint teaching is that it's always nice to have Randy in my back pocket, because I can kind of pull him out and say, this is what it should sound like, so they have something to shoot for. And then I can fill in on, I always say that Randy can show you what it should be and I can show you how to get there. That's basically what our relationship has been. So yes, we do. And we were talking, we talk a lot about how to do more of this. You guys have set a fire under us. As I said earlier, at any given moment, we're ready to throw the towel in. But because you are so wonderful at coming along with us on this journey and being willing to look at the script without any kind of, external concept or whatever, it's made us feel like we'd like to do more of it. And we felt that with this play, one of the reasons I was happy about going back is that I would love to take the two of you and Thomas and another group of people through more of the play, because it's the way to learn it, is you learn it with actors, not in a classroom, not in, So yes, Jeannie, we do. It's just a matter of what kind of format do we put it in, and how to do it. We taught at Centenary. We taught 13-week masterclass in Hamlet, Merchant of Venice, King Lear, and they allowed us. You got I don't know, Thomas would know, 2 credits, but that's all we studied was one play for 13 weeks.
I can't remember if it was 2 credits or 4 credits, because I know it was back when I went. It was either you could do an English Shakespeare class or you could take the intensive, at least for the theater majors.
Yeah,
that was the case. So that's how I went the intensive route, and that's how I met Randy and Annie.
Yeah.
I think too, what these sessions have done for me is that it's made me aware that in the commercial theater, we're not allowed any time at table with the text and getting rooted, having the entire company get rooted in the text, so that we're all living in the same world, we're all standing on the same ground. So what this has shown me is that what would happen if we had like 3 months, once a week, to just do text work, call it table work, and then be ready to offer it as a full reading, or that we're ready to get up on our feet to work it. You know what I mean? After doing all this kind of work.
Oh, if there's any sort of like online class you guys teach, I'd be so there. Just let you know my interest.
Well, and you're wonderful.
This is such a sad time in Los
welcome.
Angeles right now, because we've
welcome.
just learned that the Mark Day Forum won't be producing
I
their
know.
season.
And I heard that the Dallas Theater Center is closed, or they've closed.
Closing for real? I knew that they were cutting.
I know
Well,
they're
somebody
coming up
told
with
us
their
today
closing,
that they were closing and
but
then,
we're all in shock here in LA because
Yes.
never happened, the taper shutting
Yes.
down the season.
and I guess Ashland was looking for $23 million to finish their season and they canceled their Christmas Carol and
So
it's
this
one
has been
theater
such
after
food
another.
for the soul. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, all of
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I think what starts in my head is that through no fault of its own, I think we're entering a phase where how else can theater be done, and in a very practical sense, so that because up till now theaters have had to take on a lot of risk
Yeah.
to produce it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of costs, there's a lot of overhead, there's a lot of upkeep, and we're seeing that because of a number of factors, that's not sustainable for straight plays. You can do celebrity casting, you can do musicals, you can pack the houses that way, but for those people that want to do new works or classical theater or things like that, it's I think there is a need for some kind of different business model, and I think and at the same time, as you guys have spoken to, there's clearly an energy for all of you in doing this depth of work. So, and I think not only is it valuable for the artists involved, but for the audience, it enriches the experience for them too. So, no, I mean, I think there's a need for something different as we're seeing these things happen with these beloved theaters around the country, and just figuring out what that might look like, and just hopefully there are some brave individuals willing to try different things and see, well, what could work, how do we share the risk or mitigate it or spread it around, so that it's not such a huge undertaking for these big theaters anymore.
I wanted to just share a story about Lloyd Richards. I don't know if he's passed away. He was the head of the Yale program, Black director, and he was the original director of A Raisin in the Sun. And he told a story about a woman. They were in rehearsal, about to open A Raisin in the Sun, the first production of it, and a little old Black lady came into the theater and had a little coin purse and counted out coins at the ticket booth. And he watched her and he said to her, "Let me ask you, why are you spending your coins on a ticket for this when you could see Sidney Poitier in a film around the corner?" And she said, "Someone told me something in there was happening that's important to my life." And that's what I wish would happen again with the theater, that we would raise it up to that standard again. Something's happening in there that cannot be on Zoom, it cannot be on your phone, but it's important to your life that you be there. I don't know, Nathan, what the model is to make that happen, but I know that the power of the theater is there for it to happen. So
yeah. Well, good things to keep thinking about.
yeah.
Speaking of growth, I have to go water my mother's garden.
Go. Thank you. See you next week.
I love you guys. See you soon.
Yeah,
Love
thank
you.
guys
You all.
very much. Oh,
See you, Jeannie.
all right.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Thank you guys.
Take
Yeah,
care.
Thomas.